The sun burned hot in the sky above the small village of Kailash, but no rain came down. For 3 long months the people waited and prayed. Still no rain. The wells were getting empty. The crops were dying in the fields. The animals were thin and weak. Mira sat on the ground outside her small house. She was 8 years old with big brown eyes and long black hair. Her clothes were old and had holes in them. She watched her little sister Asha play with stones in the dirt. Asha was only 5 years old. She was getting thinner every day. Her cheeks used to be round and full. Now they looked empty. Inside the house, their grandmother was coughing again. The old woman had been sick for weeks. The cough never stopped. At night, Mira could hear her grandmother trying not to make noise. But the cough was too strong. It shook her whole body. Their parents were gone. Their father had died 2 years ago when he fell from a cliff while looking for work in the next village. Their mother had left 6 months ago to find a job in the big city. She promised to send money back home. But no money ever came. No letters came either. The grandmother said maybe the mother could not write. Maybe she was still looking for work. But Mira thought something bad had happened to her mother too. Now it was just the 3 of them. An old sick woman and 2 little girls. They had almost no food left. Yesterday they ate only thin soup made from old vegetables. Today they had even less. Mira picked up a stone and threw it at the empty road. She was angry. Angry at the sun for being so hot. Angry at the sky for having no clouds. Angry at her parents for leaving them alone. But she could not show her anger to Asha. The little girl was scared enough already. "Mira, I'm hungry," Asha said in a small voice. She came and sat next to her big sister. Mira put her arm around Asha. "I know. Grandmother is making soup for dinner." "But there's nothing in the soup," Asha said. "Just water and salt." Mira did not know what to say. It was true. They had no vegetables left, no rice, no meat, nothing. In the morning, Grandmother had found 3 small potatoes in the back of the storage room. Those potatoes were now in the pot with water. That was their dinner. The grandmother came outside. She walked very slowly. Her back was bent and her face looked tired. She sat down next to the girls. "Children," she said, "we need to talk." Mira felt scared. When adults said they needed to talk, it usually meant bad news. "We have no more food," the grandmother said. "No more money. I sold everything I could sell. The neighbors have no food either. They cannot help us." Asha started to cry. "Are we going to die?" The grandmother pulled Asha close. "No, little one. We will find a way. We always do." But Mira could see the worry in her grandmother's eyes. The old woman was trying to be brave for them. But she was scared too. That evening, as they sat around their small fire eating the thin potato soup, they heard footsteps outside. Someone was walking toward their house. The grandmother looked worried. People did not visit at night unless something was wrong. A man appeared at their door. He was tall and wore dark clothes. His face was hard and his eyes were cold. Behind him stood 2 other men. They all looked dangerous. "Good evening," the man said. His voice was deep and rough. "I am looking for the family of Kumar." Kumar was Mira's father's name. The grandmother stood up slowly. "Kumar is dead. I am his mother. These are his children." The man smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Kumar owed money to my boss. A lot of money. Before he died, he borrowed money to buy seeds for his farm. The seeds never grew because of the drought, so the money was never paid back. We have no money," the grandmother said. "We have nothing." "I can see that," the man said. He looked around their small empty house. "But debts must be paid. My boss does not forget." Mira moved closer to Asha. She could feel her little sister shaking. "How much money?" the grandmother asked. The man told them a number. It was more money than they had ever seen in their whole lives. More money than their father could have made in 5 years. "That's impossible," the grandmother said. "Kumar never borrowed that much." "Interest," the man said. "The debt grows bigger every month. Your son has been dead for 2 years. The debt has grown very big." The grandmother started to cry. "Please, sir, we are just an old woman and 2 little girls. We have nothing to give you." The man looked at Mira and Asha for a long time. His cold eyes studied them like they were animals at the market. "Actually," he said slowly, "there is something you have." Mira felt her heart beating very fast. She did not like the way the man was looking at them. "I know people who need workers," the man continued. "Young workers. They pay good money for healthy children. No, the grandmother said quickly. Not the children. Please, anything but the children. Think about it, old woman, the man said. You cannot feed them. They will die here with you. But if they come with me, they will have food. They will have a place to sleep. They will be safe. Where will you take them? The grandmother asked. To the city, to work in factories. They will make good money. Much better than dying of hunger in this village. Mira knew the man was lying. She had heard stories about men like this. They took children away and the children never came back. The children did not go to work in factories. They went to bad places where bad things happened to them. But she could see her grandmother was thinking about it. The old woman looked at the empty soup pot. She looked at Asha's thin face. She looked at their house with nothing inside. I need time to think, the grandmother said. You have until tomorrow night, the man said. I will come back then, and I will take what I am owed, one way or another. The man and his friends walked away into the darkness. The grandmother closed the door and sat down heavily. Grandmother, Mira said quietly, you're not really thinking about sending us away, are you? The old woman put her face in her hands. I don't know what to do, child. I don't know how to keep you alive. That night Mira could not sleep. She listened to her grandmother coughing in the next room. She listened to Asha breathing softly beside her. She thought about the cold-eyed man and his promises of food and work. She knew he was lying. But she also knew her grandmother was right. They had no food, no money, no way to live. Maybe dying slowly of hunger was worse than whatever the man had planned for them. As the sun started to rise, Mira made a decision. She would not let anything bad happen to Asha. No matter what, she would protect her little sister, even if it meant sacrificing herself. She did not know that in less than 24 hours, both their lives would change forever. The next day passed like a bad dream. Mira and Asha stayed close to their grandmother. They did not play. They did not talk much. Everyone was thinking about the man who would come back that night. The grandmother tried to find help. She went to the village chief. But he said his own family was hungry too. She went to the temple. But the priest had no money to give. She even walked to the next village to ask her sister for help. But her sister's husband had lost his job months ago. When the grandmother came back home in the afternoon, her face was white and tired. Mira could see there was no hope left in her eyes. Did you find help, grandmother? Asha asked. The old woman sat down and pulled Asha onto her lap. No, little one. No one has anything to give. As the sun started to go down, they heard footsteps again. The man was back. This time he had 3 men with him instead of 2. They all looked mean and strong. Good evening, the man said. He walked into their house without being invited. Have you made your decision? The grandmother stood up slowly. Her hands were shaking. Please, sir, give us more time. Maybe the rains will come. Maybe my daughter will send money. The man laughed. It was not a nice sound. The rains are not coming, old woman. And your daughter is probably dead, or she would have sent help by now. Mira felt angry when he said that about her mother, but she was too scared to speak. The debt must be paid, the man continued. I told my boss I would bring him payment tonight. I cannot go back empty-handed. He looked at Mira and Asha again with those cold eyes. I will take one of the girls. The younger one looks healthy. She will bring a good price. No, the grandmother cried. Please, not Asha, she's just a baby. Then give me the money you owe, the man said. We don't have money, the grandmother said. You know we don't have money. The man walked over to where Asha was standing. The little girl was crying and trying to hide behind Mira. The man reached out his hand to grab Asha's arm. Wait, Mira said loudly. Her voice surprised everyone, including herself. The man stopped and looked at her. What did you say, little girl? Mira's heart was beating so fast she thought it might stop. But she had to be brave. She had to protect Asha. Can you take her instead of me? Mira asked. She pointed to herself with a shaking finger. The man stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled that mean smile again. You want to take your sister's place?
Yes, Mira said.
Her voice was getting stronger. I'm older. I'm bigger. I can work harder. Take me instead of her. Asha grabbed Mira's arm. No, Mira. Don't go. Don't leave me. Shh, Mira said to her sister. It will be okay. I will come back for you. I promise. The grandmother was crying now. Mira, no. You don't understand what you're saying, but Mira did understand. She understood that bad men took children to bad places. She understood she might never see her family again. But she also understood that Asha was too little to survive whatever was going to happen. Mira was stronger. She had a better chance. The man walked around Mira looking at her like she was a cow he might buy. "You are older," he said. "But you're very thin, and you have a smart mouth. That could be trouble." "I won't be trouble," Mira said quickly. "I'll do whatever you tell me to do." "Just leave my sister alone," the man thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "Okay, I'll take you instead of the little one." Mira felt relief and terror at the same time. Relief because Asha would be safe. Terror because she was going away with this dangerous man. "Get your things," the man told her. "I don't have any things," Mira said. It was true. She had one extra dress and one pair of shoes. That was all. "Then we leave now," the man said. Mira hugged her grandmother tight. The old woman was crying so hard she could not speak. Mira whispered in her ear, "Take care of Asha. I love you." Then she hugged Asha. Her little sister was holding on so tight it hurt. "Don't go, Mira, please don't go." "I have to," Mira said. "But I will come back. I promise I will find a way to come back." She was lying. She did not think she would ever come back. But she wanted Asha to have hope. The man was getting impatient. "Let's go. We have a long walk ahead of us." Mira started to walk toward the door. But then the man did something that changed everything. Just as they reached the door, the man suddenly turned around. He walked back to where Asha was standing with the grandmother. "Actually," he said, "I've changed my mind." "What do you mean?" the grandmother asked. The man grabbed Asha's hand with his big rough fingers. "I'll take both of them." "No," Mira screamed. "You said you would take just me. We had a deal." "I lied," the man said simply. "Two children will bring more money than one, and the little one will keep the big one from trying to run away." "Please," the grandmother begged. "You have the older one. That should be enough." "It's not enough," the man said. "The debt is big. I need both girls to pay it." Mira tried to pull Asha away from the man, but he was too strong. His other men came forward to help him. "Don't fight me, girl," the man warned Mira. "If you fight, I will hurt your sister. If you come quietly, I will be gentle with both of you." Mira stopped fighting. She could not let Asha get hurt because of her. Asha was crying and calling for her grandmother. The old woman was trying to follow them, but she was too weak and slow. "Grandmother," Mira called back. "Tell everyone what happened. Tell them we were taken by the herder. Maybe someone will help." But she knew no one would help. The village people had their own problems. And the police were far away and did not care about poor children. The man pushed both girls forward into the darkness. Behind them, they could hear their grandmother crying and calling their names. "Where are you taking us?" Mira asked as they walked. "You'll find out soon enough," the man said. They walked for a long time. Asha got tired and could not keep up. The man picked her up and carried her, but not gently. Mira stayed close to her sister, holding her hand whenever she could. After walking for hours, they came to a place where a truck was waiting. There were already other children in the back of the truck. Mira could see their scared faces in the darkness. "Get in," the man ordered. Mira helped Asha climb into the truck. Then she climbed in too. The truck was crowded and smelled bad. Some of the children were crying. Others just stared at nothing with empty eyes. A girl who looked about 10 years old moved over to make room for them. "Where are you from?" she whispered to Mira. "Kailash village," Mira whispered back. "Where are they taking us?" "I don't know," the girl said. "But wherever it is, it's very far away. We've been driving for 2 days already." The truck started moving. Through a small window, Mira could see the mountains of her home getting smaller and smaller. She held Asha close and tried not to cry. She had wanted to save her sister. Instead, she had gotten them both taken away from everything they knew and loved. Now they were both going to whatever terrible place the herder had planned for them. As the truck drove through the night, Mira made a new promise to herself. Somehow, someway, she would get Asha back home safely, even if it was the last thing she ever did. The truck drove all night without stopping. Mira held Asha tight as they bounced on the hard floor. The other children in the truck looked tired and scared. Some of them slept sitting up. Others stared out the small windows with empty eyes. When the sun came up, Mira could see they were far from home. Instead of mountains, there were flat fields everywhere. The fields looked dry and brown. No crops were growing. The drought had come here too. Asha woke up crying. "I want to go home, Mira. I want grandmother." I know, Mira said softly. I want to go home too. But we have to be brave now. The girl who had talked to them before moved closer. Her name was Priya. She had been taken from her village 3 weeks ago. How many children are with you? Mira asked Priya. It changes, Priya said. Sometimes they pick up new children. Sometimes they drop children off at different places. Right now there are 12 of us. Mira looked around the truck. She saw boys and girls of different ages. The youngest looked about 4 years old. The oldest was maybe 13. They all looked thin and dirty. Where do they take the children they drop off? Mira asked. Priya's face got very sad. I don't know. They just disappear. The herder says they go to good families who need workers, but I think he's lying. Around noon, the truck stopped at a small town. The herder and his men got out to buy food and water. They locked the children inside the truck. It was very hot inside. The children were sweating and breathing hard. A little boy started to cry because he felt sick. We need air, Mira said. She banged on the side of the truck. Please, we can't breathe in here. One of the herder's men opened the back of the truck. Stop making noise, he said angrily, or you'll get no food today. The little boy is sick, Mira said. He needs fresh air. The man looked at the sick boy. Then he left the truck open a little bit so air could come in, but he stayed nearby to watch them. Thank you, Mira said. The man looked surprised. Most of the children were too scared to talk to him. What's your name? He asked. Mira. And this is my sister Asha. How old are you? 8. Asha is 5. The man stared at them for a moment. Then he walked away without saying anything else. When the herder came back, he had bread and water for the children, but it was not much. Each child got one small piece of bread and a few sips of water. Asha was still very hungry after eating her bread. Mira gave Asha half of her own piece. She wanted to give her all of it, but she knew she needed to stay strong too. She had to take care of Asha. You're a good sister, Priya said quietly. The truck started moving again. They drove for many more hours. As it got dark, they stopped at another place. This time it was not a town. It was just an empty field with no houses around. Everyone out, the herder said. The children climbed out of the truck slowly. Their legs were stiff from sitting so long. Mira helped Asha down. We will sleep here tonight, the herder said. Tomorrow we pick up more children. More children? Mira asked. Yes. There are families in the next town who want to sell their children. The drought has made everyone desperate. Mira felt sick when she heard this. There were other families like theirs. Other grandmothers who could not feed their grandchildren. Other children who would be taken away from everything they loved. The herder's men made a small fire. The children sat around it to keep warm. The night was cold and they had no blankets. Stay close to me, Mira told Asha. We'll keep each other warm. A boy named Raj sat down next to them. He was about 12 years old and had been taken 2 weeks ago. Where are you from? He asked Mira. Kailash village. What about you? Parpur. It's a small town near the river. Or it was near the river. Now the river is dry. Do you know where they're taking us? Mira asked. Raj shook his head. The herder never tells us anything. But I heard him talking to his men. They said something about crossing the border. What border? The border to another country. Once we cross it, we can never come back. Mira felt her heart sink. Another country? That was so far away. How would she ever get Asha back home? That night, Mira could not sleep. She listened to the other children breathing. Some of them cried quietly. Others talked in their sleep, calling for their mothers. Asha was having bad dreams. She kept saying grandmother and home in her sleep. Mira stroked her hair and whispered soft songs their mother used to sing. In the morning, the truck drove to a small town. Here, 3 more children were waiting. A man was selling them to the herder. The man counted money while the children cried. One of the new children was a girl about Asha's age. She had pretty braids and clean clothes, but her face was red from crying. Mama, she called as the truck drove away. Mama, come back! But her mother was already gone. The money was more important than her daughter. Mira put her arm around the new girl. What's your name? She asked gently. Kavya, the girl whispered. I'm Mira. This is my sister Asha. We'll take care of you. Kavya looked at Mira with big, scared eyes. Are they going to hurt us? Mira did not know what to say. She was afraid they would be hurt, but she could not tell that to a little girl. We'll stick together, Mira said instead. All of us. We'll look out for each other. The truck drove for 3 more days. Each day they picked up more children. Each day they got farther from home. Mira tried to remember the way they had come. She looked for mountains or rivers or anything that might help her find the way back. But everything looked the same. On the 4th day, the truck stopped at a big building with high walls around it. There were men with guns standing at the gate. "We're here," the herder said. Mira looked out the window and felt very afraid. The building looked like a prison. The walls were too high to climb. The gates were made of thick metal. And the men with guns looked mean and dangerous. "Where are we?" Raj asked. "This is where you'll live from now on," the herder said. "If you work hard and follow the rules, you'll be fine. If you cause trouble, you'll be sorry." The children climbed out of the truck slowly. Mira held Asha's hand tight. She also held Kavya's hand. The 3 little girls stayed close together. More men came out of the building. They counted the children like they were counting sheep. Then they pushed the children toward the gate. "Move," one of the men said roughly. "Don't just stand there." As they walked through the gate, Mira heard it slam shut behind them. The sound was like a door closing on their old lives. Everything they had known and loved was now on the other side of that gate. A woman came out to meet them. She was thin and had angry eyes. Her voice was harsh when she spoke. "Listen carefully," she said. "This is your new home. You will work 6 days a week. You will sleep in the dormitories. You will eat what we give you. You will not complain. You will not cry. You will not try to escape." She looked at each child carefully. "If you follow the rules, you will live. If you break the rules, you will be punished. Some punishments are worse than death." Mira squeezed Asha's hand. She whispered very quietly in her sister's ear. "Remember what I taught you. Stay quiet. Do what they say. But never stop hoping we'll go home." The woman divided the children into groups. Boys on one side, girls on the other. Then she divided them by age. "No," Mira said when they tried to take Asha away. "She stays with me." "You don't make the rules here," the woman said coldly. "Little children go to the nursery. Older children go to the workrooms. Please," Mira begged. "She's my sister. I promised to take care of her." "Your promises mean nothing here," the woman said. "Take the little ones to Building 3. Take the older ones to Building 5. Men grabbed Asha and Kavya and started pulling them away. Asha was screaming for Mira. Kavya was crying for her mother. "Asha," Mira called. "I'll find you. I'll come for you. Don't forget me." "Mira," Asha screamed back. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me." But the men were stronger than little girls. They dragged Asha and Kavya away while Mira watched helplessly. That was the moment Mira knew their real nightmare was just beginning. Mira was pushed into a long, dark building with the other older children. Inside, there were rows and rows of small beds. Each bed had a thin blanket and no pillow. The room smelled bad, like too many people living in one place. "This is where you sleep," said a guard. He was a big man with scars on his face. "Each person gets 1 bed. No sharing. No talking after lights out. Wake-up time is 5 in the morning." Mira found an empty bed near a small window. She wanted to be able to see outside. Maybe she could see the building where Asha was kept. The girl in the next bed looked about 11 years old. She had been there longer than the others. Her clothes were dirty and torn. Her hair was cut very short. "What's your name?" Mira whispered when the guard left. "Sita," the girl whispered back. "How old are you?" 8, my sister is 5. They took her to a different building. Sita's face got sad. They always separate families. It makes people easier to control. "How long have you been here?" Mira asked. 6 months, maybe 7. It's hard to keep track of time in this place. "What kind of work do we have to do?" Sita looked around to make sure no guards were listening. Then she whispered, "Different things. Some children work in the kitchen. Some clean the buildings. The older boys work outside, building walls and digging holes. The girls usually work in the sewing room." "What's the sewing room like?" "Hot, crowded. We make clothes for 12 hours every day. If you work too slow, they don't give you dinner. If you make mistakes, they hit you." Mira felt scared. She had never used a sewing machine before. What if she was too slow? What if she made mistakes? Is there any way to see the little children? Mira asked. "Sometimes. During meal times, all the children eat in the same big room. But we can't talk to each other. The guards watch us very carefully." That night, Mira lay on her hard bed and stared at the ceiling. She could hear other children crying softly. She wanted to cry too. but she was afraid the guards would hear her. Through the small window, she could see lights in other buildings. One of those buildings had Asha inside it. Her little sister was probably scared and crying for her. Mira wished she could fly across the space between the buildings and hold Asha tight. The next morning, a loud bell rang at 5 o'clock. All the children had to get up immediately. They had 10 minutes to use the bathroom and wash their faces. Then they had to line up for breakfast. The dining room was huge. There were long tables with benches. Hundreds of children sat and ate in complete silence. Guards with sticks walked around the room. Mira looked everywhere for Asha. Finally, she saw her little sister at a table far away. Asha looked very small next to the other little children. Her eyes were red from crying. She was not eating her food. Mira wanted to run to her, but a guard was watching. She caught Asha's eye and smiled. She put her hand over her heart to tell Asha she loved her. Asha did the same thing back. After breakfast, the children were divided into work groups. Mira was sent to the sewing room with 15 other girls. The room was very hot and had no windows. Sewing machines lined the walls. The noise was terrible. A woman boss showed Mira how to use a machine. "You will make shirts," she said. "Each girl must make 20 shirts every day. If you don't finish 20, you get no dinner." The work was very hard. Mira's hands were not used to holding the fabric. The needle went too fast sometimes and made holes in the cloth. When that happened, the woman boss got angry and shouted at her. By lunchtime, Mira had only made 3 shirts. Her fingers were sore and her back hurt from sitting hunched over the machine. At lunch, she saw Asha again. This time, little Kavya was sitting next to her. Both girls looked sad and tired. Mira wondered what kind of work little children had to do. After lunch, Mira worked even harder. She was determined to make 20 shirts, but the work was so difficult. Her hands shook from being tired. She made more mistakes. "You're too slow," the woman boss said angrily. "At this rate, you'll never make 20 shirts." "I'm trying my best," Mira said. "Your best is not good enough. Maybe if you get no dinner tonight, you'll work faster tomorrow." Mira felt tears coming to her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She could not show weakness in this place. A girl named Ronnie was working at the machine next to her. Ronnie was about 10 years old and had been there for 8 months. "Don't give up," Ronnie whispered when the boss was not looking. "It gets easier after a few weeks. Your hands learn what to do." "I just want to see my sister," Mira whispered back. "I know. I had a brother when I came here. But they sent him to a different place after 2 months. Sent him where? I don't know. They said he was going to a family who needed a farm worker. But I never heard from him again." This scared Mira very much. What if they sent Asha away? What if she never saw her little sister again? That evening, Mira had only made 15 shirts. She was not allowed to eat dinner. Her stomach hurt from being hungry, but she was more worried about Asha than about food. During the night, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Sometimes the guards took children away in the middle of the night. The children who were taken away never came back. Mira made a promise to herself. She would learn to sew fast. She would follow all the rules. She would not cause any trouble. But she would also look for a way to escape with Asha. There had to be a way out of this terrible place. The next few weeks were very hard. Mira worked 12 hours every day in the hot sewing room. Her fingers got cuts from the needles. Her back hurt from sitting for so long. But slowly she got better at the work. She learned the schedule of the guards. She learned which ones were mean and which ones sometimes showed a little kindness. She learned where all the doors and windows were. She was making a plan. During mealtimes, she watched Asha carefully. Her little sister was getting thinner. The little children worked in the kitchen, washing dishes and cleaning vegetables. It was not as hard as sewing, but Asha was too young for such work. One day, a new guard came to work in the compound. He was younger than the others and did not look as mean. His name was David. He walked around the buildings and watched the children work. Mira noticed that David looked sad when he saw how tired and scared the children were. The other guards seemed to enjoy frightening the children, but David was different. One evening, when Mira was walking back to her dormitory, David stopped her. "You're the girl with the little sister," he said. "Yes, sir," Mira said. She was afraid he was going to punish her for something. "How old is your sister?" "5, sir." David looked around to make sure no other guards were watching. Then he said quietly, "She's too young to be here. This is no place for such a small child." Mira did not know what to say. Was this a trap? Was David trying to get her to say something that would get her in trouble? All the children here are too young, David continued. This whole place is wrong. Then he walked away before Mira could respond. That night, Mira thought about what David had said. Maybe he was different from the other guards. Maybe he wanted to help the children. Or maybe it was a trick to see if she would try to escape. She decided to be very careful around David. She would watch him and try to figure out if he could be trusted. If he really wanted to help, maybe he could help her save Asha. But if he was like the other guards, she would have to find another way. One thing was certain. She was not going to spend the rest of her life in this terrible place. And she was not going to let Asha grow up here either. Somehow, some way, she was going to get them both home to their grandmother. Even if it killed her trying. 3 months passed in the terrible compound. Mira had learned to make 25 shirts every day. Her hands moved fast on the sewing machine now, but her heart was always thinking about Asha. Every mealtime, she looked for her little sister. Asha was getting thinner and sadder. Sometimes Mira could see bruises on Asha's arms. The kitchen work was too hard for such a small girl. During this time, Mira became friends with a boy named Kieran. He was 12 years old and had been in the compound for 2 years. Kieran was smart and brave. He had tried to escape 3 times, but he was always caught. The walls are too high, Kieran told Mira one day as they walked to lunch, and there are guards everywhere. But I think there might be a way. What way? Mira asked quietly. The east wall, where they dump the garbage. There's a small hole at the bottom where water flows out when it rains. If we could make the hole bigger? Mira felt excited. Could we really escape through there? Maybe, but it would be very dangerous. If they catch us trying to escape, they beat us very badly, and they might separate you from your sister forever. Mira thought about this. It was risky. But staying in the compound was also risky. Every day children got sick or hurt. Some children were taken away and never seen again. How many children would come with us? Mira asked. Not many. Most are too scared. Maybe 4 or 5 brave ones. What about the little children? Could they fit through the hole? Kieran's face got sad. The little children can't come, Mira. They're too small to make the long journey home. And they would slow us down. We would all get caught. Then I'm not going, Mira said firmly. I won't leave without Asha. But Mira, this might be your only chance to escape. I don't care. I promised I would take care of her. I'm not breaking that promise. Kieran looked at her with respect. You're very brave, but also very foolish. Maybe. But she's my sister. That night, Mira lay in her bed thinking about the escape plan. Part of her wanted to run away very badly. She dreamed about going home to her grandmother. She dreamed about sleeping in her own bed and eating real food, but she could not leave Asha behind. Her little sister was depending on her. If Mira escaped alone, who would protect Asha? Who would take care of her? A few days later, something happened that changed everything. David, the young guard, was working in the sewing room. He was watching Mira work when the woman boss stepped outside for a few minutes. You're very good at sewing now, David said quietly. Thank you, sir, Mira said. She kept working and did not look at him. I've been watching you. You're always looking for your sister during meals. Mira's heart started beating fast. Was she in trouble? I have a little sister too, David continued. She's 6 years old. Her name is Maya. Mira was surprised. Guards were not supposed to talk about their families with the children. Where is your sister, sir? Mira asked carefully. At home with my mother. I work here to earn money for my family. But I hate this job. I hate seeing children suffer. David looked around to make sure no one was listening. There are people outside who want to help the children in this place. Good people who work for the government. What kind of people? Mira whispered. Police officers, social workers. They're trying to find this compound and shut it down. But they need information from inside. Mira's heart was beating so fast now. What kind of information? How many children are here? What kind of work they do? Evidence that children are being hurt? Why are you telling me this? David was quiet for a moment. Because you're smart. And because you care about your sister. I think you would do anything to save her. Just then, the woman boss came back into the room. David walked away without saying anything else. For the rest of the day, Mira could not concentrate on her work. Was David telling the truth? Were there really people trying to help them? Or was this a trap to see if she would try to contact the outside world? That evening during dinner, something terrible happened. Mira was eating her small bowl of rice when she heard commotion at the little children's table. Asha had dropped her bowl and spilled food on the floor. A guard with a big stick was standing over her. "Clumsy girl," he shouted. "Now you get no food for 2 days." "Please, sir," Asha said in her tiny voice. "It was an accident." "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't clean up the mess," the guard said. He raised his stick to hit Asha. Without thinking, Mira jumped up from her table. "Don't hit her!" she shouted. Everyone in the dining room turned to look. The guards all stared at Mira. She had broken the rule about staying quiet during meals. "She's just a little girl," Mira said, walking toward Asha's table. She didn't mean to drop the bowl. The guard with the stick turned to face Mira. "Did I ask for your opinion?" "No, sir. But she's my sister. I'll clean up the mess. I'll give her my food. Just don't hit her." "You think you can tell me what to do?" the guard asked angrily. Other guards were moving closer now. The children at all the tables were scared and quiet. "I'm not telling you anything, sir," Mira said. "I'm asking. Please don't hurt my little sister." The guard raised his stick toward Mira now. "Maybe you need to learn some respect." Just then David appeared. "What's the problem here?" he asked. "This girl thinks she can give orders," the first guard said. David looked at Mira, then at little Asha, who was crying on the floor. "The little one made a mess?" "Yes, and this one thinks she can protect her." David was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Take them both to the punishment room. They can think about their behavior tonight." Mira felt scared. The punishment room was a small, dark place where children were locked up alone. But at least she and Asha would be together. The guards pushed Mira and Asha out of the dining room. The other children watched with frightened eyes. They all knew what happened to children who fought back. The punishment room was tiny and had no windows. There was nothing inside except a bucket in the corner. David locked the door and left them in complete darkness. Asha threw herself into Mira's arms. "I'm sorry, Mira. I didn't mean to drop the bowl." "It's okay, little sister," Mira said, holding her tight. "You did nothing wrong. Are they going to beat us?" "I don't know, but we're together. That's what matters." They sat in the dark holding each other. Asha was so thin now, Mira could feel her sister's ribs through her clothes. After a long time, they heard footsteps outside. The door opened and David came in with a small lamp. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No, sir," Mira said. David set the lamp down and closed the door behind him. "You were very brave tonight, but also very foolish. I couldn't let them hurt her." "I know. That's why I brought you here instead of letting the other guards deal with you." David reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 pieces of bread. "You missed dinner." Mira took the bread gratefully. She gave most of hers to Asha. "I meant what I said before," David told Mira quietly, "about people trying to help. But I need you to trust me." "How do I know you're not lying?" David thought for a moment. Then he pulled out a small piece of paper. "This is a picture of my sister Maya, the one I told you about." In the lamplight, Mira could see a photo of a little girl with braids and a big smile. She looked healthy and happy. "I show you this so you know I understand about sisters," David said. "I would do anything to protect Maya, just like you protect Asha." "What do you want me to do?" Mira asked. "Help me gather information. Learn everything you can about this place. How many children, how many guards, where all the doors and windows are. When the time is right, I will help you and your sister escape." "When will that be?" "Soon, I hope. But you have to be patient. And you have to be careful. If the other guards suspect anything, they will hurt you both." David took back the picture of his sister. "Can you be brave a little longer?" Mira looked at Asha sleeping in her arms. Her little sister trusted her to keep them both safe. "Yes," Mira said. "I can be brave," but inside she was terrified. She was putting their lives in the hands of a man she barely knew. If David was lying, she and Asha might end up in an even worse place. Still, it was the first hope she had felt since they were taken from their grandmother's house. She had to believe that someone, somewhere, was trying to help them. It was the only thing that kept her from giving up completely. After the night in the punishment room, things got harder for Mira and Asha. The other guards watched them more carefully. They were looking for any reason to punish the sisters again, but David kept his promise. Every few days he found small ways to help them. Sometimes he brought extra food. Sometimes he made sure they could sit together during meals. He was always very careful so the other guards would not notice. During this time, Mira started gathering information like David had asked. She counted the children in each building. She watched the guards' schedules. She memorized where all the doors and windows were. There were 137 children in the compound, 63 girls and 74 boys. The youngest was only 4 years old. The oldest was 15. There were 23 guards during the day and 12 guards at night. They changed shifts at 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening. The compound had 7 buildings. 3 dormitories for sleeping, 1 kitchen and dining room, 1 sewing room, 1 laundry building, and 1 office building where the boss man lived. The walls around the compound were very high, but Mira noticed something important. Near the garbage area, there were big trees growing close to the wall. If someone could climb high enough, they might be able to jump from a tree branch to the top of the wall. She told David about everything she learned. He wrote it all down in a small notebook that he kept hidden. "This information is very helpful," David told her one evening. "The police will need to know exactly how many children are here." "When will they come?" Mira asked. "Soon. But there's something else I need to tell you." David's face looked worried. This made Mira scared. "What is it?" "I heard the boss talking to his men yesterday. They're planning to move some of the children to a different place, a place very far away." "Which children?" "The little ones, including your sister." Mira felt like ice water was running through her body. "When? Next week? Maybe sooner. We have to do something," Mira said. "We can't let them take Asha away." "I know, that's why I'm telling you. The police raid has to happen before then. Can you make them come faster?" David shook his head. "I can't contact them directly. It's too dangerous. But there might be another way." "What way?" "There's a man who delivers food to the compound twice a week. His name is Ahmed. He drives a big truck with vegetables and rice." "Is he part of the bad people too?" "No, Ahmed doesn't know what really happens here. He just thinks this is a boarding school for poor children. But I think he suspects something is wrong." David pulled out a small piece of paper. "I wrote a message for the police. If you can hide this message in Ahmed's truck, he might find it when he gets back to town. Then he can take it to the police station." Mira took the paper. It was folded very small. "How can I get to his truck?" "Ahmed always comes on Tuesday and Friday mornings. He parks near the kitchen while his helpers unload the food. You work in the sewing room, but sometimes they send sewing girls to help in the kitchen when there are big deliveries. Will you make sure I get sent to help?" "I'll try, but you have to be very careful. If anyone sees you putting the paper in the truck, we're all in terrible trouble." The next Tuesday, Mira waited nervously in the sewing room. She had hidden David's message in her shoe. Her heart was beating so fast she was sure everyone could hear it. Around 10 o'clock, the woman boss came into the sewing room. "I need 3 girls to help unload vegetables," she said. Mira raised her hand quickly. "I can help." The woman boss picked Mira and 2 other girls. They walked to the kitchen area where Ahmed's big truck was parked. Ahmed was a kind-looking old man with a gray beard. He smiled at the children as they carried boxes of vegetables into the kitchen. "Work hard, little ones," he said gently. "Education will give you a better life." Mira felt sad that Ahmed thought they were students, not prisoners. But this was not the time to tell him the truth. She waited for the right moment. When Ahmed and his helpers were busy counting bags of rice, she quickly walked to the back of the truck. She looked around to make sure no guards were watching. Then she slipped David's message under a pile of empty vegetable boxes. Her hands were shaking as she walked back to the kitchen. Had anyone seen her? Was the message hidden well enough? For the rest of the day, Mira could not concentrate on her sewing. She kept thinking about the message. Would Ahmed find it? Would he take it to the police? Would the police believe it? That evening, David found her during dinner time. He did not say anything, but he nodded slightly. This meant he knew she had delivered the message. Now they had to wait and hope. 3 days passed. Nothing happened. Mira started to worry that Ahmed had not found the message. Or maybe he found it but threw it away thinking it was garbage. On Saturday morning, something strange happened. A new guard came to the compound. But this guard was different from the others. He was older and looked more serious. He talked quietly with the boss man for a long time. "Who is that?" Mira asked Sita during lunch. "I don't know." But the regular guard seemed nervous about him. That afternoon, the new guard walked around all the buildings. He counted the children. He asked questions about their work. He even talked to some of the children directly. When he came to the sewing room, he stopped at Mira's machine. "How long have you been here?" he asked. Mira was scared to answer. Was this a trick question? 4 months, sir. she said quietly. Where are you from? Kailash Village, sir. The guard wrote something in a notebook. Then he moved on to the next girl. That evening, David looked very nervous. During his shift, he walked back and forth more than usual. He kept looking toward the main gate. Around midnight, Mira heard trucks outside the compound. But these trucks sounded different from the usual delivery trucks. There were more of them, and they seemed to be moving faster. Then she heard shouting. All the children in her dormitory woke up. They looked at each other with scared faces. What's happening? Sita whispered. Before anyone could answer, the dormitory door burst open. But instead of the usual guards, strange men with uniforms came in. They had badges and official papers. Don't be afraid, children, one of the men said. We're police officers. You're safe now. Mira could not believe what she was hearing. Police officers here? Everyone stay calm, the officer continued. We're here to help you. No one is going to hurt you anymore. Other officers were searching the building with flashlights. They were looking in every corner, checking every room. Is this a rescue? A boy asked. Yes, the officer said. This is a rescue. Mira jumped out of her bed. My sister, she called out. I have to find my sister. She's in Building 3. The officer held up his hand. Don't worry. We're checking all the buildings. We'll find your sister. But Mira could not wait. She ran past the officer toward the door. Stop, the officer called. It's not safe to run around right now. But Mira was already outside. She could see lights and people everywhere. Police officers were surrounding the compound. The guards were being arrested and put in handcuffs. She ran toward Building 3 where the little children slept. Her heart was pounding with hope and fear. Was Asha still there? Was she safe? Had they really been rescued, or was this just a dream? As she reached Building 3, she saw police officers bringing children outside. They were wrapping the children in blankets and giving them water. Asha, Mira called out. Asha, where are you? Then she saw her. Asha was standing near the building door, looking confused and scared. When she heard Mira's voice, she turned around. Mira, Asha cried. She ran to her big sister as fast as her little legs could carry her. Mira caught Asha in her arms and held her tight. Both girls were crying with relief and joy. Is it real? Asha whispered. Are we really free? Yes, Mira said, tears streaming down her face. We're really free. A police officer came over to them. Are you sisters? He asked kindly. Yes, sir, Mira said. I'm Mira and this is Asha. We've been looking for each other. Well, you don't have to look anymore, the officer said with a smile. You're both safe now, and you're going home. As they sat together wrapped in warm blankets, Mira saw David being led away in handcuffs like the other guards. But when he passed near them, he looked at Mira and smiled. She knew then that David had kept his promise. He had helped save them all. The message in Ahmed's truck had worked. The police had come, and now finally she and Asha were free. The police rescue was not the end of Mira and Asha's story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. The girls were taken to a government shelter where they would stay while the police tried to contact their families. The shelter was much better than the compound, but it was still not home. There were beds with real pillows and 3 meals every day. The people who worked there were kind and gentle, but Mira and Asha missed their grandmother terribly. A social worker named Mrs. Sharma took care of the sisters. She was a motherly woman with soft hands and a warm smile. We're trying to find your grandmother, Mrs. Sharma told them, but it may take some time. Many records were lost during the drought. Is she still alive? Mira asked. This was the question that kept her awake at night. We don't know yet, dear, but we're doing everything we can to find out. During their first week at the shelter, doctors checked the girls' health. Asha was very thin and had problems with her stomach from eating bad food for so many months. Mira had scars on her hands from the sewing needles, but the doctors said both girls would be fine with good food and rest. Many other children from the compound were at the shelter too. Kiran was there, and so was Priya. Little Kavya stayed close to Mira and Asha. The 3 girls had become like sisters during their terrible time together. What will happen to us? Kavya asked one day. Her parents had sold her to pay their debts. She was not sure if they would want her back. Good families will adopt the children who can't go home, Mrs. Sharma explained. You'll all have loving homes. But Mira knew that Kavya wanted her real family, not a new one. All the children wanted to go back to the people they loved. 2 weeks after the rescue, Mrs. Sharma came to find Mira and Asha. Her face was bright with happiness. "Girls, I have wonderful news," she said. "We found your grandmother." Mira's heart jumped. "Is she alive? Is she okay?" "She's alive. She's been looking for you since the day you disappeared. She contacted every police station in 3 districts. When can we see her?" Asha asked. "Tomorrow. She's traveling here from your village. It will take her all day to reach the city." That night, Mira could not sleep. She was too excited and nervous. What if their grandmother did not recognize them? They had both changed so much. What if she was angry that Mira had not been able to protect Asha better? The next morning, Mira and Asha waited in Mrs. Sharma's office. They had washed their hair and put on the new clothes the shelter had given them. Asha kept asking, "Is she here yet? Is she here yet?" Finally, they heard footsteps in the hallway. Mrs. Sharma opened the door and an old woman came in slowly. It was their grandmother, but she looked much older than Mira remembered. Her hair was completely white now. Her face had new lines of worry. She was thinner and walked with a cane. "Grandmother!" Both girls cried at the same time. The old woman's eyes filled with tears when she saw them. She opened her arms wide and the girls ran to her. For a long time they just held each other and cried. Happy tears and sad tears all mixed together. "My precious girls," their grandmother whispered. "I thought I would never see you again. I prayed every day for God to bring you back to me." "We prayed too, grandmother," Mira said. "We never stopped believing we would come home." Their grandmother looked carefully at both girls. "You're so thin, and you look so much older." "The bad men made us work very hard," Asha said. "But Mira took care of me. She protected me." Their grandmother looked at Mira with pride and sadness. "You're not a little girl anymore. You had to grow up too fast, it was true." Mira felt much older than 8 years old. She had seen terrible things and made hard decisions. She had learned that the world could be very cruel, but also that some people were willing to help when children were in danger. Mrs. Sharma let them visit for 2 hours. Then their grandmother had to go back to the village to prepare for their return. "Why can't we go with her now?" Asha asked. "There are still legal things to take care of," Mrs. Sharma explained. "The court wants to make sure you're healthy and ready to go home. It will just be a few more days." Those few days felt like forever, but finally the day came when they could leave the shelter. Their grandmother arrived with the village chief and a kind neighbor who had a cart to carry them home. The journey would take all day, but Mira did not care. They were going home. As they traveled through the countryside, Mira saw that things had changed since they left. The drought was over. Green plants were growing in the fields again. Farmers were working in their gardens. Life had returned to the land. "The rains came just 2 months after you were taken," their grandmother explained. "It was like God was crying for all the lost children." When they finally reached Kailash village, many people came out to greet them. Everyone wanted to hug the girls and welcome them back. Their small house looked exactly the same, but it felt different to Mira. She was not the same person who had left this place 6 months ago. That first night at home, the 3 of them sat around their small fire just like old times. But there was so much to talk about. "I have something to tell you," their grandmother said. "About your mother." Mira's heart stopped. "What about her?" "She's alive. She's been working in the city all this time. She sent money, but the man who was supposed to bring it to us stole it instead." "Where is she now?" Asha asked. "She's coming home. When she heard what happened to you, she left her job immediately. She should be here tomorrow." Mira felt like crying with joy. Their mother was alive. Soon their family would be complete again. The next evening, a woman came walking up the mountain path toward their house. She looked thin and tired, but Mira knew that walk anywhere. "Mama!" Both girls screamed, running toward her. Their mother dropped her bags and caught both daughters in her arms. She was crying so hard she could not speak for several minutes. "My babies," she finally whispered. "My poor brave babies. I'm so sorry I wasn't here to protect you." "You're here now," Mira said. "That's all that matters." That night, as the family sat together sharing a real meal for the first time in almost a year, their mother had an announcement. "I'm never leaving again," she said. "I found work in the next village. It doesn't pay much, but it's enough for us to live on, and I can come home every night. Promise?" Asha asked. "I promise. We'll never be separated again." But even as they celebrated being reunited, Mira could not stop thinking about the other children. What had happened to Kavya? Was she happy with her new family? What about Kiran and Priya and all the others? A few weeks later, a police officer came to visit them. He had news about the compound and the people who ran it. The boss man and all his guards are in prison, the officer said. They will be there for many years. And we found other compounds like the one you were in. We rescued more than 300 children total. What about David? Mira asked. The guard who helped us? The officer smiled. David is not in prison. He was working with us the whole time. He was an undercover police officer trying to gather evidence against the bad men. Mira felt happy to hear this. David had risked his life to save them. There's something else, the officer said. The court wants Mira to testify at the trial. To tell the judge what happened to all the children. Mira felt scared. Do I have to? You don't have to, the officer said. But your testimony could help make sure the bad men stay in prison for a very long time. It could help protect other children from the same thing happening to them. Mira thought about little Kavya and all the other children who had been hurt. She thought about children who might be taken in the future if the bad men were not stopped. I'll do it, she said. I'll tell the judge everything, and she did. 3 months later, Mira stood in a big courtroom and told her story. She talked about the herder who took them from their home. She talked about the terrible compound and the hard work. She talked about how scared all the children were. Her testimony helped send the bad men to prison for 30 years. But more importantly, her courage inspired new laws to protect children. The government created programs to help families during drought so they would not have to make desperate choices. They trained police to watch for signs of child trafficking. They set up safe houses where rescued children could recover. Mira's terrible experience had been turned into something that would help protect other children. As she grew older, Mira never forgot what she had learned during those dark months. She had learned that she was braver than she ever imagined. She had learned that some people were willing to do terrible things for money. But she had also learned that there were good people in the world who would risk everything to help children in danger. Most importantly, she had learned that keeping her family together was worth any sacrifice and their family would never be broken apart again. 2 years had passed since Mira and Asha returned home to their grandmother and mother. Life in Kailash village was different now, but in good ways. The rains came regularly again. The fields were green and full of crops. Their mother, Kamala, had steady work weaving baskets that she sold in the market town. The family had enough food to eat and even a little money saved for emergencies. Mira was now 10 years old and Asha was 7. Both girls went to the village school every day. Mira was the best student in her class, especially in reading and writing. She loved learning new things, but sometimes in quiet moments, Mira would remember the compound. She would think about the other children and wonder where they were now. The memories made her sad, but they also made her determined to help other people. One day, a visitor came to their village. She was a woman from the city who worked for an organization that helped children. Her name was Dr. Patel, and she had heard about Mira's story. I would like to talk to you about something important, Dr. Patel said to Mira and her family. They sat together outside their house, drinking tea and eating the sweet cookies Dr. Patel had brought from the city. We are starting a new program, Dr. Patel explained. We want to teach children and families how to recognize the signs of human trafficking. We want to help them stay safe from people like the ones who took you. That sounds like good work, Kamala said. It is, but we need someone special to help us. Someone who has lived through this experience and can speak to other children about what to watch out for. Dr. Patel looked at Mira. We would like you to be part of our program. Mira, you could help us save other children. Mira felt excited and scared at the same time. What would I have to do? You would travel with us to different villages. You would tell your story to families and children. You would teach them about the warning signs of traffickers. You would show them that survivors can be strong and brave. Would I have to leave my family again? Mira asked. This was her biggest fear. No, Dr. Patel said quickly. You would only travel for a few days at a time. And your mother or grandmother could come with you if you wanted. Mira looked at her mother and grandmother. What do you think? It's your choice, Beta, her mother said. But I think you could help many children. I want to help, Mira said. But I'm scared people won't believe me because I'm just a child. Dr. Patel smiled. Sometimes children believe other children more than they believe adults. Your voice could be very powerful. That evening, Mira talked to Asha about the offer. Are you going to do it? Asha asked. I think so, but only if you think it's okay. I think you should, Asha said. You saved me. Now you can save other children too. A month later, Mira went on her first trip with Dr. Patel. They visited a village where many families were struggling because of a flood. Some families were so desperate they might consider selling their children to men who promised good jobs. Mira stood in front of a group of children and adults in the village school. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was strong. My name is Mira, she began. 2 years ago, bad men came to my village. They said they would give my sister and me good jobs in the city. But they were lying. She told them about the herder who took children away from their families. She explained how traffickers look for families who are desperate and hungry. She taught them the warning signs to watch for. If someone offers to take your children away for work, ask many questions. Mira said, Where exactly will they work? Can you visit them? Can they come home for holidays? If the person gets angry at your questions, that's a bad sign. An old man in the audience raised his hand. But what if we really have no food? What if our children will starve if they stay with us? Mira understood this question. She had lived it herself. There are other ways to get help, she said. Government programs, charity organizations, temples that give food. Ask the village chief or the police for help finding these programs. Don't trust strangers who promise easy solutions. A young mother asked, What if the traffickers threaten us? What if they say they will hurt our family if we don't give them our children? Tell the police immediately, Mira said. These men are criminals. The police want to catch them. After Mira finished speaking, many families came to talk to her personally. They thanked her for her courage in sharing her story. Some parents said they had been considering offers from strangers, but now they would be more careful. Dr. Patel was very proud of Mira. You did wonderfully. I think you helped many families today. Over the next year, Mira visited dozens of villages with Dr. Patel. Each time she spoke, she felt stronger and more confident. She was turning her painful experience into something helpful for others. Sometimes she met other survivors of trafficking, children who had escaped from factories or farms where they were forced to work. Talking to these children helped Mira understand that her experience was not unique. There were thousands of children like her all over the country. One day, during a visit to a shelter for rescued children, Mira met someone she never expected to see again. Mira, is that really you? She turned around and saw a girl about her own age with short hair and a big smile. It took Mira a moment to recognize her. Kavya, Mira cried, running to hug her friend from the compound. I can't believe it's you, Kavya said, squeezing Mira tight. I've thought about you so many times. They sat together and shared their stories. Kavya had been adopted by a kind family in the city. She was going to school and learning to play the piano. She looked healthy and happy. Do you ever have nightmares about the compound? Kavya asked. Sometimes, Mira admitted. Do you? Yes, but they're getting less frequent. My new mother says the bad memories will fade as I make more good memories. I hope she's right. Kavya told Mira that she had heard about her work with Dr. Patel. I'm so proud of you for speaking out. You're helping so many children. I wish I could do more, Mira said. You are doing more. Every child you save is like saving a whole family from heartbreak. That evening, Dr. Patel had a new proposal for Mira. How would you feel about making a video? She asked. We could record you telling your story. Then we could show it in schools all over the country, even in places we can't visit in person. Mira thought about this carefully. A video would mean many more people would hear her story. It could help protect many more children. Okay, she said. Let's make the video. The video was filmed in a simple studio in the city. Mira wore her best dress and spoke directly to the camera. She told her story simply and clearly, just as she had been doing in the villages. When the video was finished, Dr. Patel showed it to Mira's family. My daughter looks so grown up, Kamala said with tears in her eyes. She is grown up, their grandmother said. She has the wisdom of someone much older. The video was shown in hundreds of schools across the region. Teachers used it to educate children about staying safe. Police officers used it to train their staff about recognizing trafficking situations. Mira received letters from children who had watched the video. Some thanked her for teaching them about safety. Others shared their own difficult experiences. One letter particularly touched her heart. It was from a boy named Arjun who was about Asha's age. Dear Mira, the letter said, a man came to our village last week offering jobs for children. After watching your video, my parents said no. They reported the man to the police instead. The police said he was a known trafficker. Thank you for saving me and my sister from what happened to you. When Mira read this letter to her family, everyone cried happy tears. You see, Asha said, you really are saving children. 3 years after their rescue, Mira received a special invitation. The government was giving her an award for her work protecting children. The ceremony would be in the capital city, and the president of the country would present the award personally. The whole family traveled to the capital for the ceremony. It was the first time any of them had been to such a big city. The buildings were taller than mountains, and there were more people than they had ever seen. At the ceremony, Mira stood on a stage in front of hundreds of important people. The president shook her hand and gave her a beautiful medal. This young woman has shown incredible courage, the president said to the audience. She has turned her own suffering into a mission to protect others. She represents the best of our country's spirit. After the ceremony, reporters wanted to interview Mira. They asked her many questions about her work and her plans for the future. What do you want to be when you grow up? One reporter asked. I want to be a lawyer, Mira said without hesitation. I want to help put bad people in prison and protect children who can't protect themselves. Do you think your experience made you stronger? Mira thought about this question carefully. It made me stronger, but I wish I didn't have to become strong that way. No child should have to go through what my sister and I went through. That's why this work is so important. When they returned home to Kailash village, the whole community celebrated Mira's achievement. The village chief declared a holiday in her honor. But for Mira, the most important celebration was the quiet evening she spent with her family around their small fire. Asha was doing her homework. Their mother was mending clothes. Their grandmother was telling stories like she used to do before the bad times.